Hey guys, this is Landy Day with Graphic Authority, and I know we've been teasing you for a while on the new sets that we have called the Edge Elegant and the Edge Grunge, but I'm excited to announce that tomorrow is the official release date. We've been having to work through some website changes and modifications that I think are going to benefit you guys a ton. But the edges are going to drop officially tomorrow. So what I want to do right now is show you some ways to use the edges that you may not have thought of before. We're going to entitle this video Extreme Edging or Extreme Clipping, if you will, because we're going to do some kind of out-of-the-box things that will make perfect sense when you see it, but you may not have thought to have done it this way. So what we're going to do actually is we're going to make an album spread off of this, and this is just a blank 10 by 20 album, your most generic of albums, right? And just to start off with, we're just going to draw out of our ruler and draw a guide here into the middle. So we have 10 locked in here. So in the edge sets, there are a set of square edges and a set of rectangle edges to fit most of your portraits. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I'm not shooting with my large format square negatives anymore. I'm shooting digital, and therefore all my images are 2 by 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a couple of these backgrounds that also come with the set called the edges, and we're going to set up a template spread here. We're going to start off with this guy. We're just going to drag it, select all of them, click on the top one, click on the bottom one, holding shift, and drag them all over. If you hold shift, it will put that guy right in the middle of the photo or right in the middle of the file we're working on, but I don't want it right in the middle necessarily because we want it to take up the whole thing. And we're going to duplicate this texture layers, or 2 texture layers there up at the top, and we're just going to drag them over. If you hold shift, it will let you drag perfectly to the side. And I don't really like that edge being there, but for our purposes now, we're going to let it be that way. So now we have a 10 by 20 background with some texture, with some color, and starting to kind of take form, right? And now we're going to drag this square edge on top. And what we're going to do is we're going to drag it here, and we're going to resize it down, hold Alt and Shift and pull from a corner, and we'll pull it in from both sides. I hear you saying it. I didn't know that for the longest time, and that was a big eye-opener when I learned that. So we've got a clipping mask on one side, and we're going to go ahead and duplicate that layer, and we're going to drag it straight across and make it on the other side. We could even get away with them maybe even being a little bit closer. I kind of like them nice and snug like that. So now we've got this spread set up, and we've got a clipping mask on one side, a clipping mask on the other side. Here's the first trick. We're going to go ahead and close this because we're done with that one. So now that we have this set up with a spread on the left and a spread on the right with the clipping mask, we're going to actually drop this whole background into this clipping mask. Before we do that though, we're going to make sure that they match up really well. So I'm just going to zoom in on this one, and I'm going to come in and use my eyedropper tool and click on the lightest color that I really see in here. Somewhere maybe right in there on the thread. Looks pretty close. And we're going to come over and we're going to change this color to match it. So we're going to double click on this layer. Since I've already clicked it, there it is. Click OK. And what we're going to do now, we're going to go ahead and flatten this guy. I was blinking on this layer here to see if I really wanted that grunge on there or not on there. I don't think I do. So we're going to flatten the image, layer, flatten image, discard hidden layers, yes. And we're going to drag this layer on top of this layer. Control T is your free transform. Be sure you hold shift. Move that down pretty close to where we think we're going to be. Click OK, and I dropped it right between these 2 layers that I already put over here that say clipping. And if I hold Alt and click between them, it's going to clip it into this file, and that adds this little edge going on here. Ooh, I hear you saying it. So if we transform this guy down a little bit more, it doesn't really matter to me if the proportions stay the same, but I want most of the swirly part of the layer in there. Yeah. So the last step we're going to do on that part is we're going to double click on our clipping layer, and we're going to put a small shadow going around the side just to give us some separation from its background, and it's going to make these swirls show up a little bit more. I typically don't like a real hard shadow, so I take my size and bump it basically all the way to the right, and that gives it a softer look. So now we've got that on that side. We're going to just duplicate that same look and feel. So we're going to right click on my clipping layer, we're going to copy my layer styles and paste it onto the other side. So now it's going to match, and now we're going to duplicate this layer, which is the one with the swirls on there that we just put on, or the top and bottom brackets, and we're going to put that on top of our clipping mask here. Hold shift and drag it over. Hold alt and click between them, and that's clipped in there. So now we've got this kind of spread thing working on. Do we like it? Do we not? It's yet to be determined, but it's definitely going to be something different, right? And what we're going to do from here is we're going to take 2 clipping layers for each side and put them. We don't want to clip in, so we're going to have to go to release clipping mask. There it is. Size it down, which is Control T. If you hold Alt and Shift, it pulls from both corners. Put one right there. Duplicate it. Hold Shift and drag it over, since we're mirroring these guys. And what I want to do is I want to Control T, free transform. I want to flip it horizontal, so it's mirroring itself. Okay, there. And we're going to add this one more over. It's going to look a little bit different. And we're going to drag it over. Control T, free transform. I have my Photoshop set up to scroll from or to zoom from my scroll wheel. I really like it. If you're wondering how I'm zooming in and out and changing things so fast, that is definitely how. So same thing here, we're going to drag this down and duplicate that layer, hold shift, drag it straight across, and we're going to free transform, flip it horizontally just so it's matching. Click enter, and now we have a 2-spread template set up with 4 photos. So real quick, we're going to drop 2 photos in just so you can kind of see and get a look for, feel for what it's going to be looking like. We're going to go ahead and close all these guys. So we have a little bit more room to work with here. So here's the photo of the bride, right? Her and her bouquet. Drag it over, and it's way big, which is expected coming from the camera. Get it kind of close to where we want it here. We're going to drag it right on top of that layer. Right on top of layer right there. So we need to drag it between those layers, click Alt, and drop it in. And now we have this cool edge going on the photo that is on the clipping mask that is on the background. So we've got lots of layers here going on. One more photo, we're going to drop this one on here. I'm going to put it on this side. Zoom it out, Control T, free transform, hold shift. Holding shift still. Get it somewhere close, and we're going to drag this layer now on top of the layer that's on that far left side, which is right here. Hold Alt, click between them, and it clips it into that, giving this built-in edge with this really cool border on it. So this was just a really quick kind of complex demonstration of multiple ways to use your multiple edges and backgrounds that are coming with this set called the Edge Elegant. Again, we've got a background that came with the set that's in the back. We put a clipping mask over it with this edge that had the built-in swirlies on it. Then on that we clipped in another background that had this built-in bracket part here. we clipped it into the edge, we dropped two more clipping mask or edges over that one and two, and then clipped photos into those edges. So multiple layers going on. You can see from a blank file to that many layers, and we still need to drop two photos in over here. But it's a pretty cool look. Didn't take a lot of time, and it's really unique having all the textures and all the layers and everything built in on top of each other. So I hope that this wasn't way too fast. I hope this wasn't way too much for you to take in one sitting. Feel free to go back in, hit the pause button, play, try to do it yourself, and mimic what we're doing here. Again, all these tools, everything that I used right here came from the set called the Edge Elegant, which is releasing tomorrow. Have a great day. This has been Graphic Authority.